what first attracted me to the stories were and still are the characters, the adventures, the situations they get into. And this is what made me want to bring them to life on the screen, with all the things that a multi-dimensional world can do, with music and sound effects. And I think that the fact that the characters are largely steam trains, although not all of them, has an appeal, because I think the sound of a train whistle has a universal appeal.
What we're waiting for is a whole parade of engines coming past the station, which you see. You've got Thomas, Toby and Percy, who are quite astounded by this great parade of engines coming past. This is the story where it's Fat Controller's engines, where actually all the major engines are all going off to London to a big show for all the kids. Pleasantly animated, looking at your sins here. Yes. I think that one probably shows the station structure.
I think yes, if you have that. Well, you've got 3 angles on there, haven't you?
The filmic translations of these things are very difficult in many ways, because there's a terrific difference from a chap sitting on an end of a bed telling a little chap in bed, which you probably know yourself, where you can stop between sentences and really get into detail because he's asking you the questions. In filming it, you've got to explain all the questions filmically there so that there's no mistake, there's no misunderstanding, and the story is clear.
One video is when Thomas wants to go fishing, and in the end he gets some water from the river and he gets fish in his boiler, and then they have to fish it out, and then they have a supper of fish and chips.
It was old and had 5 holes, so they had to fill it, pull it up and empty it into Thomas's tank as quickly as they could, several times over.
The TV series only started off because previously the engine series were bestsellers. Over the years, the engine series had got up to 8 million. It was only then that Berdolkov and Co. thought it might be a good thing to cash in on.
Do you feel that those television programs are still your work?
No. Some of them, some of them are based rather loosely on my stories, but they're so obsessed with the popularity of Thomas that they have what I can only call crane-shunted Thomas to all sorts of unlikely places in order to get him into or force him into a particular story. Whether the story was written with Thomas in mind or not.
I'm just doing some black and white initial ideas for Thomas's 50th birthday for the point of sale that we're going to be producing. The first one I came up with was having Thomas on a sort of like a landscape, just a flat piece of card that will have Thomas moving across and out to the trees and the bushes, which is quite a simple way that'll probably work using different mechanisms. But I think the one that's going to be most exciting is having Thomas coming out the shed and the doors opening at the same time.
I think we've probably published more than 50 million Thomas books, all in all, if you count in the American and Japanese editions along with the English ones. Although Thomas had been very successful in the first 40 years, in the last decade, sales have skyrocketed. And in very general terms, our own publishing revenues, which used to be in the environs of about $250,000 a year, are now probably $5 million a year.
Now on to customer promotions. Claire, we've got a good, we've had some good presentations with Smiths, Dillons, etc.
How much commitment do you think we've got so far?
Well, I mean, they all say they're interested. I think, I mean, it's really now that we've got to get back to them and start firming things up. I think on the Smiths side, they said that they'd run a gondola promotion, didn't they?
That's right.
Good thing to do.
Yeah, well, we've got a budget of 100,000 above and below the line, so let's make the most of it. It's not often we get that sort of money to play with on our marketing budget.
I just picked up, just starting from the book principle, Thomas Noisy book, and I've had wonderful fun with this because we can hear the train and the coaches and the whistles and even a helicopter. And I don't know how he got in there, but that's the cops. And then my favourite.
Really useful engine. Really useful engine. This, of course, is the fun part of the campaign. It's where we get Thomas the Tank Engine onto the London city streets in the form of a London taxicab. And
Absolutely.
Having rolling round the city centre in London. This is the final design before it actually goes to the taxi company.
I think it works really well. I think the decals come up well.
Well, we even put some on the roof as well, so that people on buses can see it. I've got a feeling.
Brilliant idea.
I've got a feeling that a lot of city centre gents are going to get some pangs of
boyhood.
Exactly.
But of course, you've got a whole apparatus now that supports Thomas the Tank Engine. You've got the videos, you've got the TV programmes, you've got the posters, you've got the models. And that, in fact, of course, is like a great whole world that you can now inhabit.
If the audience embrace the characters and the stories, whom they first discover on the screen, maybe they first discover them in the books, but maybe they first discover them on the screen, that they will then want these characters and stories as part of their life, whether it be as toys or as a notepad or a pair of shoes or whatever.
It's the perfect product because it's not seasonal, it sells all the year round, but interesting enough also it allows you to produce a very good quality product. In turnover terms we do around £4.5 million a year on Thomas. It was very, very successful. In the States, for example, we'll probably sell around 12 million Thomas characters. But Thomas has gone to Australia, and Thomas is also very big in Japan now.
I think that stories have transcended national borders because basically they are universal, and small children are alike really all around the world. The gist is the strong storyline, the fun characters, and I think that in certain cultures where railways are a feature, such as in Japan and Norway, interesting enough, the series really has taken hold. I mean, it's interesting, in Japan the books were very popular long before the television series, and I do think that's because in Japan trains are a very important part of daily life.
Thomas の市場規模をお話ししていただけますでしょうか。
日本におけるトーマスの市場規模で、過去何年かあるんですが、その中で一番大きかった年が約市場規模で170億円ほどの規模になりました。
感謝トーマス。トーマスとゴードンというお話。トーマスは小さなタンク機関車、イギリスのソドー島の大きな駅で働いている。
子どもたちはね、あれがイギリスのものだって分かっている子たちっていうのはいないと思うんですね。一緒に、ポンキッキという番組で放送されてるんですが、ポンキッキーズ、ごめんなさい、最近ポンキッキーズという番組になってタイトルが変わったんですけど、ポンキッキーズを見てるお母さん方もトーマスが
We have brought these stories on the screen to countries as diverse as Japan and the United States is in such a way as they can be embraced by people in those countries, and they're not kind of imposed on them. All our experience is that, for instance, in Japan, Japanese audiences embrace these characters and stories as their own. They become kind of indigenous to the country.
Brit has unfortunately written some of her own stories and sells them under the legend based on the Reverend Audrey's Railway series. Her stories are based on fantasy rather than fact.
The first two sets of videos were, in my mind, quite good because they stuck in the main to my stories. There's a success, I think, made the producers somewhat big-headed, and in the third series they thought that they could write my stories for them. In so doing, they only revealed their lamentable ignorance of railway practice. For instance, the video called Henry's Forest.
Henry the Green Engine has lived on the island of Sodor for many years. He wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
The story was about Henry, an engine. Henry is, in that story, is enraptured by the forest which he goes through. Now, what interest does a steam locomotive have in scenery? On one occasion in the story, the driver says to Henry, "We've made good time over the last section, let's stop for a bit."